Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
Okay, I already know because Mike Casanova's in the house. He's watching from home or somewhere in the world. He said, I was about to come looking for you because I wasn't here yesterday. I wanted to be. No internet. our whole area, like a 5-block area, nothing. The personal, the business, all of it was down. They had to go dig or something. So anyway, we're here today. They fixed it. And my guest yesterday was to be Lulu Lee, the founder of Inspirational Beauty out of New York City. And she's also a coaching client of mine. But the good news is she'll be in this house Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Wednesday or Thursday? She's here through the weekend. She's here for training because her own television show is coming in just a month. So she's here for hands-on training, and she will be here with me Thursday and Friday. Wait, or is it just Friday? Anyway, when she's here, she's going to be here sitting in this chair, and I'll be somewhere else because I want her to, that's what she's coming for. So she'll get her chance. So thank you all for being patient. And thank you, Mike Casanova, for looking out. Sherry McQueen, good morning to you, you beautiful soul. Thank you so much. Let me put your names up. And all the rest of you, great guest today. Get something to write with because he uses a lot of big words. I already told him the house rule, no words over 6 syllables or I'm putting you out. Public school. Give me a break, right? Okay. Well, it is public school, but no 6-syllable rule. Anyway, we're going to get him in here in just a moment. But you guys, listen, it is happening. All of my coaching clients, not 1, not 2, not 10, not 20, all of them in the last 3 weeks have been reporting increase, abundance, blessing. All these things we get all the time, but this is the year of Jubilee. It is a real thing. I've been telling you guys since I got the download back, I think back in August of last year. But I know this now. All of those things, blessing, increase, all the prosperity, all of them, they are coming in a big, big way. The gates are open. It's pouring out, but it is not going to knock on the doors of anyone who, when they look through the peephole, is going to be surprised to see all those great things waiting for them. People who are surprised with good things like blessing and increase in abundance, they usually squander it because they don't know what they're going to do with it when it gets there because they didn't expect it. So I'm telling you now, whatever it is in your heart, whatever it is that's on your soul that you know you must get done this year, you are manifesting it. You believe in it. Faith is what you're standing in. Faith is not a thing. It's a place. Expect it. Shift right now from the Helen Keller approach, which is what I used to do. Just guessing my way. Get it together. Be intentional and be expectant. Won't you please? It's coming. It's coming. I mean it. I got a speaking engagement for probably the big, Star Trek convention. How much did this, I believe, is bigger as far as the payday. And I didn't even submit for it. They chose me, and it's a speakers bureau, and they got to sign me. It's a big wig one, you know, right? They refused me years ago. I didn't tell them that, but they did. So it's happening, is what I'm saying. If you have a blessing that you'd like to share, put it in the comment section. Start talking with your friends and family, the people in the front row seats of your life, i.e., your sacred circle. I guarantee you, you're going to find people saying, well, actually, this did happen, and that this is the year of Jubilee. And that's the bell of purpose. I'm going to ring it all through the broadcast on purpose and with purpose because it's just like that bell. The truth, it has a ring to it. Can I get an amen? Just one? I'll start it off. Ta-da, there it is. Okay, and I almost pulled an all-nighter. Could be how I'm a little loopy. I had so much because, you know, we're syndicated now. I have 2 weeks to get everything shifted over. A lot of changes and starting rehearsals in a couple of weeks with Sanjeev Chopra, Deepak's brother. We're going on tour in the spring and a lot of great stuff. Come on. When one of us wins, we all win. And our guest today is proof positive that is true and it is available. Mahesh? I was like, I'm not saying it right. And I have a big thing about getting someone's name wrong, pronunciation, how you strike it, the whole thing. But Mr. Grossman is here, and he is such an exciting gentleman. He is actually known as the Love Heals Anxiety guy. And he is a somatic hypnotherapist, and he specializes in overcoming, are you ready? The 4 horsemen Is it 4? The 3 horsemen: overcoming anxiety, depression, and trauma. Why would you want to keep any of that? I wouldn't. I don't, right? So he helps with that. He's also the author of a wonderful book called, it's easy to remember too, The 1 Minute Anxiety Solution. It has over 57 ways to lower anxiety in just 60 seconds. 1 minute. You heard me right. And he's the creator of the Defy Trauma course. And we should give you guys that today too. I'm going to get that. Let me grab that. I'm going to put that in the comment section for you guys. Hold on. There we go. So anyway, I'm going to let him tell you more about that so we can just get started. He's not been here before. So that means we go the extra mile today. We roll out the red carpet and we do it by putting some hearts on the screen. It's our way of saying welcome, because here he comes. He's coming down the hall right now. Mr. Grossman. Wait till he says it and then I'll say it. His first name. I hate messing up names. I didn't even bring you in. You know what? That's the last all-nighter for me. I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not kidding. Well, I didn't really. I went to bed at 8:30, but then I got up at midnight for an hour and went back to bed at 1, and then got back up at 2:30, and I've been up ever since.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited. I get started. I go, I'm just to go down there and write this down. I'm going to write this one thing down because I have ADHD, right? Which is my superpower. But anyway, that's what happened. I am so excited that you're here because the 3 horsemen that I just called off for everybody: anxiety, depression, trauma. The 3 of them in combination, separately, however you want to dice it, slice it. I can't blame them, but let's just say they had a hand in robbing what equated to decades of my life. I didn't really get over and wake up and find out how you use these things for your own benefit and how they can grow you into the person you need to be until I was 50 years old. And that's why I'm so excited to have you here today, Mr. Grossman, to talk about these hacks, these tools that you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the stage for about 60 seconds, just so you can say hello to the folks. And whatever you woke up with on your heart today is what I usually ask the guests to speak to. And we're going to start the conversation when I come back on one of the things I hear you say during this 1 minute Jerry Springer moment. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, it's all you. Say your name. First one.
Mahesh Grossman.
Mahesh.
Mahesh in the flesh.
Mahesh. That's a nice mnemonic device.
Yeah.
Okay. Mahesh in the flesh. You're up.
All right. Sounds good. So, you know what? If I only had one thing to tell every single person on the planet, it's that not just that anytime you're triggered, there's something going on under the surface. It's that you can discover what the real reason you're triggered is about in about 3 minutes. And it's a very simple process. You just start. If you go straight to where you feel sensation in your body in that moment. So let's say you're triggered, somebody said something and you're like super upset, either hurt or angry or scared. What you can do is notice where you feel a sensation of tension in your body. Often it's your chest or your throat or your belly. And then you ask yourself a simple question. How old was I the first time I had that sensation? Now, that's a little bit hard to do sometimes, just open-ended. So I say, well, was I 10 or under or 11 or older? And then you just start doing the math, right? If you're 10 and under, was I 5 to 10 or was I 0 to 5? And you just keep going. And then you'll eventually get to a number or a range. Let's say, I was between 4 and 6, so I'll just call it 5. Mm-hmm. You can ask yourself, where was I? Was I at home or school or someplace else? And you can then figure out what you're upset about. Mm-hmm. And suddenly being triggered after you do a little bit of work to heal what triggered you can be this tremendous healing for you, and you get to the point where you say, "Oh, I'm really glad I was triggered," which is
See?
super exciting.
Yes, I too say this. I agree that not all triggers are bad. A trigger is when you start, pull the trigger, it means it's the beginning of something and they're off, that kind of thing. And I get triggered for good reasons all the time. More now that I have switched it out and gotten rid of some of the things, i.e., the residual, the bathtub rings from those 3 idiots that we were talking about earlier. Okay, I'll say their names. Depression, anxiety, and trauma. So, however, I will say this. It's out there. I said it. I was quoted. I love me some trauma. Do you know why? Do you know why I love trauma?
Why do you love trauma?
I love trauma, and I tell little kids this all the time, or big kids even, or little adults or big adults. The reason I say I love trauma, Mr. Grossman, is I've met so many people. Like I've had reunions with some of the kids that lived, because the ones I went looking for originally, the 3 that were in the house with me, my first day in, none of them lived past 14. I was the only, so I feel that's how I got to this work. I felt like I was the survivor to be the spokesman for all 4 of us. And so the ones that have survived, I want them to thrive because it took me decades to get there. And I love trauma because I really believe, especially for kids who are innocent and it's not of any fault of their own, that trauma is that moment, that defining moment when whatever you believe is greater than you, God, Allah, Buddha, whatever, spirit, universe, it's that moment when whatever it is you believe in literally marks you for greatness. I really believe it. I believe that's why people like us, with all those things that we're here to talk about today, that's what every parable, that's what every miracle, they used people with these things, some experience with all 3 of these. And so it has to be a special ranking in the universe because look, miracles come from it. So that's why I feel that way. So tell us, first of all, you probably don't get invited to dinner or anything much, parties and stuff like that. Buzzkill Grossman in the house. Don't get in the conversation. It's going to want to talk about trauma, anxiety, all the shit. Right. So, but what made you decide that this message had your soul's DNA all over it?
Oh, like all the wounded healers out there, I had my own wounds that were really deep and lasted a long time in my own life. There was like a round of 20 plus years where I did one level of it. And then about 12 years ago, I started discovering all this trauma around my infancy and things like that.
See?
That were overwhelmed my life, but I had tools to heal it.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't mean that I didn't have to go through it, even with, healing tools are great, but you're still going to feel what you're going to feel.
Right.
And they just help you move out of it faster.
See, you just validated my theory about trauma is the moment you're marked for greatness. You said infancy, yours. And look, here you are doing the work, because if you had not had that trauma, it may not sit like it does in your spirit today. It might not mean what it does to you. And have you read, I'm sure you have, the book, The Alchemist?
The Paulo Coelho book, I have never read it.
I've read it. I know the name of the book, but I don't know the author's name, but you do. You have it in reverse. A lot of people in there, there's 2 really popular lines that people quote from it. And the one is about how the universe, when you decide something, you set your intentions, everything in the universe conspires to help you get it. That I love that. But the one that really resonated with me in there was this one, because it was my story. There's a line in that book that says, a blessing ignored becomes your curse. And my whole thing with the shame of foster care and stuff, I carried it all those years. I was 50 years old when I finally found the courage to stand on a stage in St. Joseph, Michigan, and tell my story about the 22 mothers that I had had. And that night, the footage from that night was found 6 months, 7 months later on my YouTube, the only thing on there. I opened it to put it there just for safekeeping. They told me to. And it became my Goldcast video. Today it has over 60 million views. It started this world for me. Right. So the same thing. So, okay. How did you come up with all these different programs and opportunities is what I feel, because I've looked into them, that you offer the world today to help them better deal with these things?
Well, so for anxiety, it started with I knew certain things would help anxiety. Well, I didn't realize I had anxiety. I called it procrastination. And then one day I read this book by a hypnotherapist on anxiety. I said, oh, wait, that's me. I'm reading this book not for for potential clients. I'm reading this book for me. And one of the things I quickly learned was that the part of your brain, I call it the cave brain. Everybody else likes to call it the amygdala, which is Greek for almonds, right? So because they're almond, it's like two almond shaped portions of your brain. So we have all these really fancy words, which I hate. Like you, I don't like 6-syllable words.
Ah, thank you.
I was a ghostwriter, so I was like, my philosophy is, anytime you're learning something new, your brain is doing all this heavy lifting, learning something new. You shouldn't have to work very hard at anything else, which is the vocabulary. So I call it the cave brain. But your cave brain, as soon as you there's ways to let it know that you're not going to die. And the simplest way to let it know is to activate your imagination.
The biggest screen in the universe is your imagination. And
but also when your cave brain gets a message from the part of your brain you use, I think it's the hippocampus. I'm not always good with remembering that part of the brain, but when you start using techniques that activate the part of your brain that uses your imagination, it sends a text message to your cave brain saying, hey, he or she's doing fine. They're not going to die. And it totally lowers your anxiety really fast.
Is that like when we get, you go to turn your computer off and they got the little yellow light down there that says there's an update required tonight? So is that like an update?
Well, it is an update. It is an update because what we're doing is we're making pattern matches, and our brain makes really sloppy pattern matches. So let's say in cave days, you were chased by a woolly mammoth near yellow grass, and you survived by the skin of your teeth. And the next week you go and have dinner at Grandma's.
Excuse me 1 second. Mr. Grossman, I may not be the brightest bulb in the room, but I'm pretty sure our teeth don't have skin.
All right, fine.
I'm kidding. I couldn't let that one pass.
All right, but Thornton Wilder wrote a whole play called The Skin of Our Teeth. At any rate.
Where did that come from? That's like that other one that I don't get. She was dead as a doornail.
When was the doornail alive?
Thank you. Anyway,
okay.
Go on.
So anyway, we survived. And then we go to Grandma's cave for for some kind of dinner. Yeah, bison dinner. And after dinner, we go back to the back of the cave, and Grandma happens to be this really amazing cave artist. And she's painted these yellow horses on the cave wall. And our sloppy brain makes a sloppy pattern match and says yellow. Like the mammoth, like the grass where we were almost killed by the woolly mammoth, and it puts us into fight, flight, or freeze, which is what our anxiety symptoms are. So you're not really gonna lose. You're not gonna die, right? Because it's just a painting, but it feels like you're going to die, and that's what anxiety symptoms are.
Yeah.
And so the way to switch them off is to use different things. Either using the kind of imaginal kind of things to think about, or there's certain things that activate our rest and digest system, like breathing techniques and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I put together the 57 techniques in the book. What makes these different from what most people do is that a lot of them actually release kind of the leftover emotional tension from whatever our trauma or our woolly mammoth, I call them woolly mammoth events, right? If we're in the cave brain. So whatever our woolly mammoth experiences were overwhelming for us. And they leave emotional tension in your body. And so that emotional tension is we're kind of afraid of it. So that can also kind of trigger anxiety. So when you go in and you use a technique like, I never told anybody this, but I'm the world's foremost zipper surgeon. And it's a technique that
did you say zipper surgeon?
Yes. So I'll explain right now.
Okay,
so,
I know.
I have a technique. So
Go ahead.
So just think of something that makes you anxious. And this is for everybody in the audience too. And just notice where you feel tense in your body from it. And then just imagine there's a zipper there and unzip it. And when you unzip it, it won't be like Grey's Anatomy where you're going to see, hearts or stomachs or I don't know different body parts. What happens is your subconscious mind can provide you with this symbolic image. A lot of times it's sludge or crap or snakes or rocks.
Right.
Whatever you see when you unzip right there, you can take out. And then you imagine taking it out. And whether in whatever way is logical to you, the number one way clients use people love shop vacs for some reason. I had to look up what a shop vac was on Amazon, but it seems like everybody would
bulky for me.
What?
If I said they're too bulky for me. Who has room enough, because it's round and you got to roll it all over that vacuum cleaner hose part. No.
Okay. You can use a dust buster whatever makes sense for you. Sometimes I have people use, the sand pail and shovel that you use as a kid on the beach.
Yes.
Sometimes I have people use that. So whatever makes sense to you. But when you take this stuff out, two things are happening. One is you're already using that part of your brain that imagines things. So that's going to lower your anxiety instantaneously and tell the cave brain to shut it off.
Can I butt in at this point?
Sure.
Because I teach something that goes hand in hand with this. And I'm glad you're here because I have a couple of my coaching clients watching and a couple who need to be my coaching clients who are watching. And I'm going to say this. I drive everything that manifests in my world and everything that serves me is driven through imagery. And I tell people all the time, things that do not serve you, first of all, we know they must go. But why do so many people keep going back to the things that do not serve them over and over and over and over? In most cases, it's because they have not named them. Therefore, those things can't be eradicated. They can't be evicted because they don't light from one spot to the next like a bird. They have a butterfly flight pattern. They just go everywhere. So you're chasing things and we're not using what we have at what's available to us through dominion, calling things forth, speaking them into existence because you haven't given them a name. For instance, hi, Brenda, how you doing? Horrible. What's wrong? Everything. What? My job. What about your job? The people. When really she should have said is that bitch Gail and HR giving me a hard time at Benson Plastic out on Miller Road. Because now you can go do something about it. It's been named. So when you say about, I was going to go there first, and you did, about the imagine part and also anxiety. If you ask 100 people, Mr. Grossman, what anxiety looks like in their world, you're going to get 100 different images or versions. Do you feel, or have you found that sometimes people give the anxiety credit to something that is not responsible? Like a lot of people don't have what it takes, patience, whatever, to get to the root. So they take,
that's
you understand what I'm saying? They grab the nearest thing and expect it to do something for decades worth of anxiety or the root causes. Talk about that if you could.
Well, the key to anxiety is finding the root cause ultimately. So I mean, I work on two levels, right? There's the one level of like, let's do something right now that's super easy, like get rid of whatever's inside us that, represents the tension from the emotional overwhelm from whatever happened in our past, whether we know what it is or not. And that's really effective. And so my ebook has the 1 minute anxiety solution. You can get it at anxiety123.com if it's easier to remember. Make it easy as 123 to remember how to connect with me, anxiety123.com. But there's also you want to experience, so you lower the anxiety that's caused by kind of the pattern match to the woolly mammoth. But then there's also healing what happened, the woolly mammoth experience in the first place. And that's the root cause. So when you're upset with Brenda or whatever from HR or whatever she did.
We're referring to her as the bitch. Go ahead.
Okay. When you're upset with the bitch.
Yeah.
There's something going on inside you that's making you upset. See, the thing is, if you were neutral and healed from whatever it was, it wouldn't bother you in the same way.
Right.
Because you're dealing with a bunch of 5-year-olds. Everybody's got this 5-year-old self. And if a 5-year-old said to you, you're stupid, you're ugly, whatever it is that triggers you, you would just say, oh, they're a 5-year-old. And it wouldn't bother you.
Yes.
But because something happened in your past that it brings up that say you were treated like you were stupid when you're 5 years old, or you had this fear of being abandoned because if you were stupid, you would be abandoned.
And sometimes it is cast upon us. I was in foster care. I heard people say stuff to us all the time. See, that's why you're so stupid. That's the problem with you people, you kids, that you throwaways. No wonder they didn't want you. I heard all manner of things. And people do. You're going to be just like that no good father of yours. I can see it. That kind of stuff. But you know what my birth mom told me in the first 5 minutes of me finding her after 32 years of not knowing her at birth? You know what she said to me? When I walked in, she goes, listen, let me just get it out. You're going to hear a lot of things in the coming weeks from people in our family who thought they knew about you or didn't, and there were rumors and this, that, and the other. But I'm going to tell you something. And it doesn't apply to just this situation. Carry it with you. If anything you hear or experience doesn't make sense to you, Lauren, it's because that particular thing ain't got shit to do with you. So don't carry it. Leave it. It's their problem. And boy, did that help change my life.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. Why do so many of us seem to have a death grip on these things? Like, we say we don't want them. We know to a certain extent that it's not helpful, but we still do the same things over and over.
Well, because we're avoiding the pain that's under the surface. These things help us get rid of avoid pain, or it's comfortable pain, right? There's the pain that's the unknown, which we're scared to death of. And then there's the pain that's familiar. And we love the familiar, right?
Uh-huh. Well, what about this part? Because I heard somebody out there, I think they were in Boise, Idaho, a viewer. I could hear them. I read minds. I'm kidding. But, well, I do on Facebook, but not in real life. Here's what somebody was thinking. 1, 2, 3, my ass, when you said 1, 2, 3 to get rid of it. And you know why? Because they may be, what about this? If that were true, why am I on 6 different medications? For depression, for anxiety, for this? Because how can I use my imagination if everything in my head is cloudy due to these medications? Try to talk about that, because your 57 techniques, and how come it wasn't 56 or 58?
Because 7 is a magic number.
Yes, it is. Good answer. Good answer. But really, your techniques don't have anything to do with an RX, i.e. prescription. Yes?
Well,
no?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You can lower anxiety when you're on a prescription. If you're still feeling anxious after these prescriptions, if the prescriptions are lowering them, great. But if you still have anxiety after the prescriptions, what you want to do is, it's not just imagination. It's also the connection to your body as well, right? The very first step of that zipper surgery technique is to notice where you feel tension in your body. So that's why I call myself a somatic hypnotherapist, because somatic means of the body.
Yeah.
And the way we connect to our subconscious mind is to connect to our body, and that's going to give us answers. And the hypnosis part is what we imagine happening. But it's really crazy that when you pull a zipper down and you notice there's something there, that an image shows up that
What
makes
I
no
love
sense,
about,
right?
yes. And I just want to say the very first step for me, and I didn't do it on my own. The universe forced me into it. They really did. They pushed me out of the car and into the hands of Ann, the hypnotherapist. And I walked in and I told her, I don't believe in this shit. I said, I haven't been molested. I don't want to smoke. And I did smoke and I had been molested, but I was very resistant. She pulled my arm and it didn't move. She goes, oh, this isn't going to be easy, but it is possible. And I'm not kidding you. In 2 weeks, 2 sessions, she was able to identify that I had never grieved. My mother dying, the second one who took me, and how I went from being somebody known as Larry Dixon all those years, and overnight I became Lauren Harris. Didn't even know it was a possibility. No one had ever said you weren't born to this family. Nothing. And she did that, and she said it was because I had never grieved. She put a trigger word in my mind, and I came to end a session. She said it. I woke up with my head on a pillow in her lap on the floor 5 hours later. My throat burning, my eyes were, yes, but that was the beginning. That was the beginning. So what I love about what you're offering is that for me, NLP or anything that could do what I couldn't, it was like Ann sent an advanced team ahead inside my own psyche to face and slay some dragon so that I could now pick up and do my part. And all it took was that first domino. That's all it took. But before that happened, I was lost, broken, I thought. So let me ask you something. But because see, a lot of people, if they were to describe their life with these elements, anxiety, depression, and all that, most people on a professional thing is going to say, go see a psychiatrist, like they told me when I found my mom and went into depression. I went to the mental health place. They said, we're going to have you see this psychiatrist. I wasn't in that office 5 minutes. He wasn't even looking at me and asking my story. He started writing. And I'm sitting over there like, is he paying attention? I'm trying to tell what's going on. And he said, okay, that's good. Here, I swear. And did this. I said, what's that? He said, a prescription. I said, for what? He said, lithium. I said, well, I don't even know what that is, but how long will I have to take it? He goes, probably the rest of your life. As far as I know, that man is still standing there. It's been 30 years with his hand stretched out because I was out the door. Something inside said run. So let me ask you this. How do people find out about what you have? Who's telling them this even exists? Well,
social media is one of the big things. And I have Facebook ads for my book. So and I get on podcasts and TV shows like this to talk about this stuff. The thing is, depression is normal. Anxiety is normal. Trauma is normal. If you've experienced trauma, to have a reaction to trauma is certainly normal.
Yes. That's your book. Oh, I'm doing it early. That's not the 5-minute mark. You mentioned the book, so I put it up.
Okay, cool.
Because I want people to get this.
So, and the thing is, what's different about this, about hypnosis or about these techniques, is in terms of, if we focus on it, I'm going to give a technique for depression, for something for everyone to do every day for depression as well. But first, with these techniques, there's something in the process of healing in somatic hypnosis is called rehearsal. And the thing is, you can rehearse what's going on when you're anxious and rehearse lowering your anxiety without actually being anxious. And the secret to this is that if you think about something that makes you anxious, you're going, even the word anxiety, our brain makes pattern matches. So
what are some of the top examples of when anxiety is moving in? You're starting to feel anxious. Is it sweating? Is it nervousness? What is it?
Yeah, it's sweating, rapid heartbeat. But even with these techniques, a lot of times it's just physical tension in your body. So we don't have to go all the way to where we feel, the worst anxiety or in the middle of a panic attack, because nobody wants to rehearse that.
Right. Do you feel avoidance, procrastination, because they're kind of cousins? Could those be considered warning signs?
Well, they are anxiety. So there's fight, so everybody kind of knows with the woolly mammoth, right? You can go into fight where you're ready to fight the woolly mammoth. You can go into flight where you're ready to run away, and you can go into freeze. Like a hedgehog freezes, and so hoping that the woolly mammoth will go away. So procrastination is either freeze or flight, right? If you're procrastinating, you're running away from the activity that you're supposed to do, or you're freezing and you don't do anything, or you're death scrolling, which is a form of freeze. And this is a sign that you're anxious. This is a sign that there's some kind of you're going to die if you do the thing you're procrastinating.
Right. But what is it that makes us fear something that isn't even real? Why don't we believe in ourselves? Or why don't we call on the many examples in history and in around us of people who have done the work? Why is it, though, that we just go to that place so quickly?
Two reasons. One, we don't have the tools to know how to do it. But our brain makes sloppy pattern matches.
And why don't we have the tools? Why don't they start teaching us that in elementary school?
Because they don't.
Or at home.
Yeah. Well, most people, I mean, the era of people who've done really profound inner work, even at the 5% of people who do it at this point, this is, quadrupled, or probably more than that. It's probably 100 times what it was by our parents. I was born in 59. My parents knew nothing about this stuff.
You look good for your age.
Thanks.
59. I was 62. Wow.
I'm 66.
Oh, because you don't carry a lot of anxiety like the rest of us.
Maybe that's true.
It ages us, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. Stress ages us, and also the things we do to, the overeating, the alcohol, the marijuana, all those things aren't good for us.
You watch your mouth. We don't talk about alcohol in a bad way in this house. I'm kidding. Red wine is. I'm kidding. But okay. So let's go to the 57. Let's go to the sacred number. Let's go to the 57. Chalk off a couple of those 1 minute remedies. I find that so intriguing.
Okay. One of the one that I've had the most, more than 500,000 views on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that is something called eye ridge rubbing. And it's very strange that this works. But if you just go to the bone under your eyebrow right here, and you make a letter C right around here, and then you go back and forth to the other eye, and you just slowly do it 3 times on each side.
Alternating?
Yeah.
Okay.
The alternator, I like to do it with the same hand. I don't know if that makes a difference or not. Okay. That's just my own personal
3 times on each eye.
That already shifts your space.
Now, are we saying anything to ourselves
while we're doing this? This is just a physical thing. I don't know whether it's accurate. I don't know why it works.
You don't know, is it releasing some kind of dopamine, or what's it doing?
It shifts. I think it has to do with kind of acupuncture points or something like that.
So is this like tapping? There are people that's,
I don't know if it's similar to tapping, right? In that you're touching, you're applying, they call it an electroceutical. And I've never seen a really good explanation.
Be confused with pharma.
Right. Or nutraceutical. But so it's it's the simplest thing you can do. I've had people.
So how often do you do it? When you first wake up? Do you do it before you go to sleep?
This is something you just do when you feel stressed.
Okay. Soon as you feel it, like say
stressed or anxious.
Someone who's anxious about speaking in front of people.
Yeah.
Before they call your name, just start.
Go like this.
Okay.
Now, when you're worried or overthinking, a lot of where we worry kind of is connected to what's considered the third eye. It's right here. So you can just imagine a zipper right here. And then just as you imagine that zipper and you open that zipper, what you're going to see is a little piece of, at the cash register at the supermarket, the white tape.
Yes.
A very simple way to pull out the worry is to imagine that like a little piece of white tape and just start pulling and keep pulling and pulling on that white piece of tape, or printer, whatever it is, until there's no more. And when you do this, it shifts something. And then you just you take all that paper, squash it into a ball, and toss it into the sun. And then another technique, since I do all these pulling out techniques that I've talked about, I'm going to give you a filling up technique. So you just imagine going down.
Wait. So that happens, I'm assuming, after you dump something that doesn't serve you. Now you want to fill that space with something that can promote healing.
Yeah, that's one way. I'm going to actually switch gears here. So I have another technique. I call it the present, or the birthday. I like to call it the birthday present. People sometimes have issues with that for some reason. Maybe they're Jehovah's Witnesses.
Who doesn't like a birthday present?
Yeah. So this comes from a shamanic process called a soul retrieval, which is terribly named because it's not what it really is you're finding the things you've repressed in order to stay safe. Your joy, your creativity, your confidence, your sense of self-love. You're symbolically bringing this back in. So the way I do this is I have you imagine going to a library. And in the library, I'm doing the fast version because we have limited time.
Yeah.
But in the library, you can really imagine the library and all the details and what it looks like and smells like and feels like and all those things. You walk past a bunch of bookshelves and there's some tables in the back. And on one of the tables is a beautifully wrapped present. And
wait,
then
is my name on it?
You don't even need your name on it. It's just
just take it. Okay, good.
You're the only one in this location. It's right there. And it's really fun to find out what color the wrapping paper is. And generally there's a ribbon. And then you just open the box. You pull on the ribbon, you unwrap the present, however you unwrap presents. If you're, some people are the, scratch and claw method of unwrapping, and other people are the neatly, whatever you do in real life, you do. And then you open it and there'll be a box. And for some people, it's a box with a lid. Sometimes it's a jewelry box. Sometimes it's an Amazon box. But you open the present and you're going to see something inside. Mm-hmm. And it could be something more general. I've had people have rubies and I've had people have necklaces and all these other things. And it could be something really specific. I had one guy who had the hairbrush he had as a teenager. And he had a mullet when he was a teenager, and now he's completely bald. Oh. And that hair, and whatever it is, represents joy or represents some quality that you need to. For him, that represented joy. But for other people, sometimes it represents. Yesterday, I had somebody that represented confidence and strength.
Point of clarification, just before we round the corner from this part, because one of the speed bumps I can see for people at that juncture is being naturally suspicious of things you cannot see. So a package, it looks pretty, but people have been duped. Trauma makes them not trust this and the other. And so how do they get past? I know this is true. Imposter syndrome. When I got my honorary doctorate, the regalia came in a box. I knew what it was and what it represented. It sat in my dining room the whole weekend. I was home alone. And I literally would go out the front door, walk around the house to come in the slider to go to the family room. Because when I walked past that box, it felt like a dead body was in there on display. I could not understand it. That's what made me say this. So what about when people go, I see the present you told me that is sitting there, but I don't believe it's anything good in it for me because I've never had a present that I liked. Or you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I haven't had anyone. I haven't had that
No?
experience. What
So
I
you
have
don't
had,
see.
the
Okay, go ahead.
very first thing that may relate to that, but it's not quite the same thing, is sometimes the first question I have people ask when they open the present and they see what it is I have them to ask, is this something to keep or something to get rid of? Because about
Mm.
15 to 20% of the time, there's something to get rid of in the box. Sometimes it's surprising.
Mm.
There's
There it
like,
is.
sometimes it's gold, it's pieces of gold, and it was still something to get rid of because it was an attachment to the value
But
that
we decide.
well, our subconscious gives us the answer.
Gives it in the form of an image.
Well, we get the image and then we ask, is this something to keep or something to get rid of?
Perfect.
Because you don't know. I mean, I had a guy
Perfect.
have a statue of Eric Estrada on his motorcycle from Chips.
Oh
And
my
it turned
God, I
out to be
had that
something.
poster in 7th grade. Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it turned
Those
out
are
to be something to get rid of. So you never know. So I stupidly asked the question, is it something to keep or get rid of, no matter what it is? Unless it's a ball of light or a heart of some kind, because we know that those are nice things. But
true.
people get
Oh,
these
go ahead.
things, and then you have to ask, if it's something to keep, you ask, what does this represent? You ask the present, what does this represent?
See,
And you'll get
that's why I love having something to believe in other than myself, something greater than me, i.e., faith. Because I used to be afraid of things I didn't understand, i.e., question marks. And I'm not kidding you. Yes, I remember the day when God, Spirit, Universe said to me, it changed everything. Game changer. Lauren, stop being afraid. You're always peeking through the window of opportunities. At least you know they're opportunities now and not walls. Because I used to think walls, get over it, get around it, you'll get from underneath it. That advice was good. It wasn't, because windows and doors have opportunity next to it, not wall talk. I heard, and I quote, when you look through the window, you don't got to go rushing in through the door, but peek through the window of opportunity. Look everywhere in there. And when you see something you don't understand, that's a question mark. And that is proof that I am in there waiting for you, because it's not an ego trap. I don't need nobody. I got this. I can do it all on my own. You know that you are a part of a something, and that makes it lighter automatically. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
that's
I
great.
just had to throw that in there. How many people have you served through these processes? Just guessing over the
Well,
years.
I mean, you gotta with TikTok and social media and things like that. Hundreds of thousands of people have viewed these techniques, and thousands of people have bought the book.
And do they
So
write, the people that get the book, do they sometimes come back and let you know the results
yes,
because
boy,
they're so shocked?
I had a woman who the most amazing story was, she was using these techniques, and she had developed a certain amount of resilience. She had a lousy car. She was a little bit afraid around certain kinds of driving. Her husband was in the next town in a hospital, and she got a call from the doctor in a storm that she needed to come see him. He might not make it past that time. And I'm telling you, I didn't know these techniques would work that well, where you're driving a car that was not
Right.
doing so well at that moment
Right.
either. And she made it to the hospital with these techniques, held his hand, and the doctor said if you hadn't come, he would have died. So they literally saved her life. The other dramatic thing, so
Wow.
talking about this step, the third step of this other process is to ask, let's say what do you need anything from me in order to stay with me forever? And I had a woman who her husband had been murdered 20 years before, and she'd been depressed for 20 years. She got rubies when she did the present thing, and I had her ask the rubies what she needed in order to stay with them forever, to stay with her forever. They said, you need to allow love in. And she said she wouldn't do it. So we spent a few minutes
Because
getting her to the point where she was willing to allow love in. The next week, after weeks of coming in gray sweatshirts, pants, and gray hoodie, she was wearing blue jeans and a pink shirt. I was like, whoa, this is interesting. And then she said she had dinner with her son, and he didn't recognize her because he had been 29. He was 29. He'd been 9 years old when his dad was shot. And this is the first time he saw
she
her
was
not
dark.
depressed.
She wore dark all that time.
Bland, yeah. But no, he didn't recognize her because she wasn't depressed.
Right.
It was
That's
the
what
first
I mean.
time in 20 years since she had seen him. So that these techniques work on really profound levels. By the way, the book comes with a lifetime money-back guarantee.
Wow.
So people should give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, I'm happy to refund the money. I may forget to
300
stop
people told me
my email. But
I meant to tell you, 300 people contacted me when they heard you were coming on the show and asked me to get their money back. So you can just cut the check, make it out to Dr. Lauren. I will get it back to those people, I promise. I'm kidding. I got to ask you one more question before we get out of here. And we're supposed to be gone already. I told you I'm terrible at this part. How important, in 30 seconds or less, how important would you say, your opinion, extending grace to yourself when you start this process or any factor of it, extending grace to yourself, a learning curve, being patient, because not everything happens instantly or overnight.
This process is doing itself through you. So you're not in charge of the speed. You're not in charge of the speed at which you heal. I had a therapist, the first molestation that I had to work through, I had a therapist say to me, the subconscious gives up what it wants to give up when it wants to give it up. That's true. To me is like maybe the best sentence I ever heard from a therapist in my life. Yes. So then you're not even in charge of it. So you can give yourself grace because I'm not the one doing it. It's doing itself in its own time. I don't have to be ahead of where I am.
And don't be afraid when it starts coming through. It's like a splinter that works itself from beneath the skin.
Right.
And that's true. I always say this to my clients because I used to say it to myself. When something shows up, it's because it's time for you to know something. And when it's time to know, it's always because it's also time to grow. And that's why, and it's not supposed to feel good all the time. That's why they're not called growing tickles. So the meaning and know the definitions of your intentions so that you can understand what is going on. Okay, everybody, the book, get over and get it. Here is the website for all things, Mr. Grossman, 1minuteanxietysolution.com. And there is also anxiety123.com, just like that.
Yeah, I always found that so easy it's hard to remember these things off a website. I mean, off a podcast and a TV show. So that's why I got Anxiety 123 to make it as easy as 123 to remember.
And it's even easier today because both of those have already been dropped right inside your comment section. Look through the thread and find it for easy access. Now, here's the thing I want to leave you with. You can have all the solutions at your fingertips that are available in the universe, but they will mean absolutely nothing if once you are out of ignorance and moving into insight, you don't do anything with it. Don't just listen to podcasts like this, hear things like this from people like Mr. Grossman, and not even love yourself enough to go check it out. Find an E and an R, and it will do the rest. You can take what's already great to greater, bright to brighter, strong to stronger, bold to bolder, and my personal favorite, nice to nicer, starting with yourself. There you go. I love the work. I love it. I want to talk to you. Will you do a 90-minute special so we can actively do some things? Because you have a lot of exercises and stuff.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Okay, stay backstage for a second. I'll tell you how we're going to get that ball started, and I'll let you guys know when that is going to happen so you have no excuse to not be there. Listen, Mahesh, thank you so much. I love the work. I know it's a lonely existence at time because a lot of people are just resistant, but you're doing the work one person at a time. So thank you. Thank you so much. I wish I'd have heard about you or something like you when I was a little kid and thought there was no way out. It could have saved me literally 4 decades. Right. And I mean that. Thank you so much. God bless you. And God bless you guys. Listen, I'm out of here. Come back tomorrow. Oh, this is a great week. Tomorrow, it's a solo show tomorrow. just you and me, because I want to talk about a lot. All good. The year of Jubilee is our topic tomorrow, getting you on the first page of that little booklet. Be here. And then we have Jason Cisneros on Thursday, and songstress Teresa Griffin will be here Friday talking about her new album. So get out of here. Go do what you do. Change the world one word at a time. And as you leave, do not let my screen door slam. And remember, Dr. Lauren loves you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Get with this guy. Get with him. He knows what he's doing, and he does it with love. Okay, me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine.